Welcome to the ChatGPT podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Each episode, we dive into the latest developments in the exciting field of artificial intelligence, exploring its applications and potential impacts on our daily lives. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app, or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today. If you've been following the podcast for a while, you'll know that over the last 6 months, I've been working on a stealth AI startup. Of the hundreds of projects I've covered, this is the one that I believe has the greatest potential. So today I'm excited to announce AIBox. AIBox is a no-code AI app building platform paired with the App Store for AI that lets you monetize your AI tools. The platform lets you build apps by linking together AI models like ChatGPT, Midjourney, and 11 Labs. Eventually will integrate with software like Gmail, Trello, and Salesforce, so you can use AI to automate every function in your organization. To get notified when we launch and be one of the first to build on the platform, you can join the waitlist at aibox.ai. The link is in the show notes. We are currently raising a seed round of funding. If you're an investor that is focused on disruptive tech, I'd love to tell you more about the platform. You can reach out to me at jaden@aibox.ai. I'll leave that email in the show notes. DigitalOcean has just made an $111 million acquisition of an AI company. So today on the podcast, we're going to be diving into why it made that move, what it plans to do, and what this company is. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So the headline story here is the fact that DigitalOcean has acquired Paperspace, which is a cloud computing startup, which has a very strong focus on AI, especially since this whole AI boom has started happening. And I think what's really interesting is that it is currently buying this for $111 million in cash. Now, at the moment, we're seeing a lot of different acquisitions in the space. A lot of different companies are grabbing these AI startups because they know overall, not only does it increase their bottom line, a lot of money is flowing into AI right now, but also they don't want to be left behind. And DigitalOcean, which is a publicly traded company, they went public in 2021, definitely wants to make sure that they're staying on the space. You know, it's kind of funny because it's definitely a good business decision, but also as far as their stock price goes, there's a lot of, investor sentiment around investing in AI companies. And so they definitely want to maintain a strong hold there. But what I do think is really interesting is, unlike some other acquisitions we've seen, specifically with Mosaic ML, which was just acquired by Databricks, that was a massive acquisition for a lot of money. But when they did kind of the headline, billion-dollar acquisition headline, they said that a big chunk of that was in shares. So they were actually they were paying a lot of that in stock of the Databricks. Now, the problem with that is the last time that Databricks had their valuation set was pre kind of valuation tanking in 2022. So they were using a 2021 valuation, which arguably it should be half of that. So when you kind of saw that headline of, Databricks is buying this for, I think it was 1.5 billion. You can verify over $1 billion. But in reality, I believe it was actually much, much less because they're buying that in stock, and the stock is inevitably going to be worth a lot less than, what their last valuation was. So the reason I bring that up is because this is an interesting move where Paperspace is being acquired for all cash. So no stock, all cash, $111 million. And even if they were doing, some sort of stock thing at this point, DigitalOcean is publicly traded. So the price is the price, it's adjusted live on the stock market. So let's talk a little bit about why they're doing it and what these companies are, hoping to gain from this. So DigitalOcean's CEO is Yancey Sprill, and Yancey recently said that Paperspace's infrastructure and tooling, once integrated with DigitalOcean's products, is going to essentially allow customers to move and to more easily test, develop, and deploy AI applications. So for Paperspace's customers, I believe this is also going to be a bit of a benefit for being able to move over to DigitalOcean's cloud services. And because DigitalOcean, this is a company that I have actually used in the past and have been very, very happy with. They're amazing customer service, really well-made product, I would say, from my experience with them. But they have some really awesome offerings as far as databases, storage, app hosting, which is what I used it for, was app hosting. They have a lot of really good documentation, tutorials, and a really robust support system overall. So I actually think this is going to be really awesome for Paperspace to be plugging into this. I think this is a win-win for both companies. Paperspace is going to remain a standalone business unit within kind of DigitalOcean's umbrella. And so Paperspace customers aren't going to see immediate changes in their service, but, who knows how this changes in the future with these acquisitions and mergers. Sometimes that happens down the line. So a direct quote from Sprill, which is the CEO of DigitalOcean, said, "We're excited to expand our portfolio tailored to the world's small and medium-sized businesses and startups with simplified AI and machine learning offerings. The combined offering allows customers to focus more on building applications and growing their businesses and less on the infrastructure powering them." I think what's interesting is Paperspace was actually co-founded back in 2014, and it was backed by Y Combinator and Jeff Carr, who is one of the co-founders of DigitalOcean. So obviously, Paperspace has had actually a pretty significant tie to DigitalOcean for a very long time, since 2014, and now as they're making this bigger move into AI and DigitalOcean has gone public, all of a sudden, DigitalOcean is going to go and acquire the entire company, which is kind of a trend I see a lot. Some companies have deep ties for a long time, and eventually the bigger company just kind of eats up some of its investments because they know it's just a really good thing to add into their portfolio overall. So the company essentially runs its own data centers with custom configured GPUs. And initially when Paperspace first launched, they were kind of focused more on these low-cost virtual machines that were providing really high-performance workstations for design, visualization, and gaming in the cloud. But as this whole AI revolution is happening and becoming really mainstream, Paperspace has started focusing a lot more heavily on their AI offerings. And so they actually launched an entire suite of tools that were specifically designed for developing, training, deploying, and hosting AI models in the cloud, which is a pretty powerful use case, especially, you can see right now. So prior to the actual acquisition, Paperspace has raised over $35 million, and they raised that from a number of different people, including Battery Ventures, Intel Capital, Sinway Ventures, and Sorensen Capital. So they've obviously raised some money in the past, and I think that Herb kind of sees this acquisition as a step towards a more comprehensive offering for cloud CPU and GPU compute, and essentially I think they're hoping to rival a lot of other vendors that are in this sort of public cloud market by combining DigitalOcean and Paperspace. And I think this is actually going to lend them perhaps an entire new class of customer, particularly some that are on a tighter budget, right? Right now in AI, we see these massive companies. We see Google and Microsoft and, even Salesforce, but a lot of these big companies, most of them publicly traded, that are making some massive moves in AI. But I do believe there is going to be a big step where a lot of medium and small sized businesses, they want some of these same tooling. They want to integrate this in some of their own data. And so I think that this is going to be a product that really appeals to them. It allows them to really get into AI and machine learning driven apps, generative media, LLMs, recommendation engines, and image classifiers, a lot of things that, smaller and medium sized businesses would like to use. Herb, when he was kind of commenting on this whole thing, he said DigitalOcean is renowned for simplifying complex cloud solutions and making them more accessible to developers and businesses alike. And then he also said, "We're thrilled to join forces with DigitalOcean as we believe there's no better company to unlock the endless possibilities of AI and machine learning for developers and businesses alike." So I think this is going to be a really big move in the space. Dylan Herb, obviously, who's giving those quotes, was as a co-founder of Paperspace. And so I think that this acquisition is not the first acquisition DigitalOcean has made, but it is the first one they've made since 2022. So back then they bought a cloud computing service provider called Cloudways. They bought it for about $350 million. So this is, I think, their fourth public offering, or their fourth acquisition since their public offering back in 2021. And so I guess kind of from a macro perspective, looking at this, I think this is going to be a pretty good move for DigitalOcean. I think they don't want to be left behind in this surge for AI cloud computing and machine learning solutions. And I think what is really good, their company's revenue has increased from Q1 of this year it grew about 30% to 165 million. So obviously they are seeing some pretty big growth. Return on equity and net margins allegedly fell short of expectations. There's, always people complaining about something, but overall, like, the company's revenue increasing 29% is amazing in my opinion. I think big tech cloud providers like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are really right now focusing on generative AI to boost revenue. Like, that's a big thing that they're doing. They're focusing on boosting revenue. Everyone is using it. Everyone's experimenting. Every company is tinkering with it. And there's a lot of actual, money to be made beyond just kind of hypotheticals. And they're seeing it to some degree of success. Everyone's trying to kind of woo these big AI companies to come onto their cloud platforms. And there's some interesting moves that are still happening. One thing I will say, there was a recent poll done by CNBC, and it found that AI is now the biggest spend for about 50% of top executives across the economy. And so I think this is a really smart place. If you're going to invest your capital from a corporate side, this is a very smart place to deploy it. This is where everyone is putting their money in and experimenting right now. Some things will win, some things will fail, but people will try everything, and everything is being experimented on. And so I think this is a really good move. And in addition to this, Gartner predicts that cloud spending is going to grow about 21% this year, coming in just under $600 billion, and it was at about $490 billion last year. So overall, I think this is an amazing play by DigitalOcean. This is going to be a really big acquisition. I think it's going to pay off very quickly. Paperspace seems like a very cool company. I was looking through what they do earlier today. Overall, I think it's an awesome company, and I think this is a really good move for DigitalOcean. For their stock price, but also just for their overall company and for their customers.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
We just launched our AI Creators Discord community. If you're looking for a really kind of hands-on and innovative place to talk to other people making amazing things in AI, you need to join this community. Obviously, it's a lot more interactive than a podcast where we can actually share prompts and software and tools that we're using to create really interesting use cases. We'd love to have you join and become part of the community. If you don't use Discord, there's also always the Facebook group. I'll link both of those down in the description. You've been listening to the ChatGPT podcast. Make sure to rate us wherever you listen to your podcasts, and have a fantastic week.